In order to take revenge on her ex-boyfriend who plays racing, my girlfriend practiced hard and became a highly sought-after navigator. When her ex came to ask her to team up for the national competition, she humiliated him in every possible way but still agreed. I asked her, "Are you really going to give up teaming up with me?" She comforted me, saying, "Don't worry, I'm just going to torment him a bit. Once I feel avenged, I won't play anymore." I got angry and broke up with her, deciding to give up racing. But when we met again, she had red eyes and said, "I've already felt avenged. I won't contact him again, so please don't be mad anymore. Okay?" I reached over her shoulder and grabbed a pack of diapers from the shelf. Mad? I don't have time for that. Ding. Story Shots reminds you to click the subscribe button at the bottom right corner to read the full novel. To buy my girlfriend Gemma Carlson her favorite osmanthus cake, I was 10 minutes late to the team dinner. When I finally arrived at the private room's door, there was already a new face sitting next to Gemma. "Can I team up with you?" The man's hand was casually resting on Gemma's chair back, looking overly familiar. When I heard the question, I froze at the door and didn't go in. The chatting teammates were also taken aback by the sudden question. Gemma was indeed the best navigator in our team, but after all, we were a couple, and no one had ever dared to break us apart over the years. "No way," Gemma laughed. "Milo Lawrence, unless you agree to be my dog for a year, let me feel avenged." Milo, it turns out, was the man who had once abandoned Gemma and had been on her bad side for many years. "What's the problem? As long as you team up with me, we can definitely enter the national competition. Don't say being your dog. I'd even kneel for you," Milo shamelessly joked, but I felt uneasy all over. "Then kneel, kiss my feet, and if you do, I'll team up with you." The teammates around us were enjoying the spectacle, cheering loudly, completely ignoring my presence at the door. Milo didn't care at all. He pulled out a chair and knelt on one knee in front of Gemma. He gently held Gemma's fair ankle and leaned down to place a serious kiss on her foot. "So affectionate. Awesome, my bro Milo." The cheering around me made my head buzz. Milo looked up and asked with a smile, "Are you satisfied? Feel avenged? It's acceptable." Gemma pulled back her foot from Milo's grasp, her cheeks slightly flushed. "Gemma?" I pushed open the slightly ajar door. "Are you really going to break up our team?" Gemma raised her eyes. "Jealous? Don't worry, Holden. I'm just messing with him. You know how much I hate him." Milo stood up, dusting off his pants nonchalantly, and extended his hand toward me. "Your new teammate, Milo Lawrence." I don't agree. I don't agree with you teaming up." I clenched my fists. "Are you afraid Gemma will go back to me?" Milo said deliberately. "Go back to you? I just want to step on you," Gemma said angrily. The extent of Gemma's hatred for Milo was matched only by how much she loved him. I still remember the first time I saw Gemma at the entrance of the team. It was raining heavily that day, and her hair was soaked. "Let me join the team. I can forgo my salary. I'll train hard, please." I saw her face was red, so I reached out to touch her forehead, which was indeed burning hot. Later, the team manager took pity on her and let her in, and she truly became the hardest working and fastest growing member of the team. I later learned that she once had a childhood boyfriend who played racing, and that scumbag had several girlfriends behind her back. When she arrived at the scumbag's place, she caught him in the act. Not only did he not apologize, but he even invited her to join. I joined the team to one day become the best navigator and make him come begging me. When I first heard Gemma say this, my heart ached fiercely. A girl betting her future just to take revenge on her ex-boyfriend. How deep must her wounds be? After we got together, I always treated her well, hoping her pain would slowly heal and that one day her dreams would only be about herself. I knew that her search history on social media was filled with Milo and his girlfriends. I knew Milo was kicked out of the previous team because she exposed his dirty secrets. I thought that as long as I turned a blind eye, one day she would forget her hatred. But unexpectedly, this was just the beginning. Gemma eventually agreed to team up with Milo, while I had to find a new navigator partner. With the national off-road rally approaching, I had just switched partners and was about to participate in the team's internal ranking competition to secure a spot in the national competition. Halfway through the ranking competition, my car was already in third place. This performance is quite good for a new team. But Milo Lawrence and Gemma Carlson's car is right in front of me. Holden, the curve ahead leads to a cliff. Slow down, the navigator reminded from the side. I struggled to control my speed, but my fighting spirit only burned brighter. Only the top two standings have a chance to represent the team in the national off-road rally. And this curve is my last opportunity to overtake. I couldn't care less. I pressed the gas pedal hard and drifted through the turn. Suddenly, Milo's car on the inside surged up beside me. I felt the left front tire lift off the ground and turned to look at Milo in panic, only to see him smiling and giving me the finger. Then my entire car rolled off the cliff with a thunderous crash. The car hit the hard rocks, making a huge noise. All I could hear in my head was a buzzing sound. I don't know how long it took, but the rescue team dragged me out of the car. Holden, are you okay? That was Gemma's voice. You idiot. Why would you do something so dangerous? Your boyfriend is too fragile. I barely lost control of the speed, and he ended up getting pushed off. Milo's annoying voice rang in my ears, but I couldn't say anything to make him shut up. It seemed I wouldn't have a chance at the national competition. Without the national competition, I would have no excuse to dodge my dad. I might have to obediently go back to inherit the family fortune. Fortunately, the car's safety system was good enough. My navigator only had minor scrapes and was fine after a checkup. I, however, was kept in the hospital for observation due to a period of unconsciousness. When I woke up, Gemma wasn't by my side, and all I had was her message saying she would come see me after training. As I ate the hospital's terrible dinner, I worried about whether Gemma was eating well. But she didn't call me, nor did she send a single message. My phone was filled with messages from those heartless teammates asking if I was still alive. Gemma, are you mad at me? I'm sorry. I was impulsive, and overtaking on that curve was risky. But Milo is such a jerk. He definitely did it on purpose. After a long time without a reply, Gemma still hadn't responded. You weren't scared, were you? If it weren't for that jerk Milo, I wouldn't have been so impulsive, and Gemma wouldn't be angry. I couldn't help but call Gemma, hoping to smooth things over. The phone rang for a long time before Gemma finally picked up. Her voice was a bit frantic. Holden, what's wrong? I'm in training. Is there something up? I quickly said, Gemma, I'm really sorry about today. I lost control of my emotions and made you worry. I promise it won't happen again. I hope you can forgive me. It's fine. Are you being discharged tomorrow? On the other end, Gemma seemed not to be listening to me. I could vaguely hear the sound of water flowing. Where are you? Why do I hear water? I asked, puzzled. At the gym training, just getting ready to shower. Let me know when you're being discharged tomorrow. I'll come pick you up. Gemma hurriedly hung up, but I felt like she was hiding something from me. The next day, I finished the discharge procedures and went home by myself. But when I opened the door, something felt off. Milo was lying on my sofa, shirtless. I could still hear the sound of water running from the shower. Seeing me come back, Milo just rubbed his eyes, tugged at the blanket around him, and asked casually, You're out. What are you doing here? You're sleeping in my house. I was panicking, my hands trembling. I had him come over. Gemma came out of the shower, dressed in pajamas, towel in hand, drying her hair. You too, Gemma. I'm still in the hospital, and you're just sleeping together. What are you thinking? Who wants to sleep with a dog? Gemma looked at me disdainfully. I said, For the next year, he's my dog. I'm just bringing a puppy home. You don't need to worry about him. We'll do our own thing. Hearing Gemma's explanation left me speechless. Milo didn't care at all. He tossed the blanket off and walked barefoot into the kitchen to grab a glass of water. Gemma acted as if he didn't exist, coming up to wrap her arms around my neck and giving me a couple of affectionate kisses on the cheek. Then she started asking about the doctor's advice and follow-up care. but I felt every hair on my body stand on end. Gemma, don't you think this is ridiculous? You're keeping your ex-boyfriend in the house. What about me? Have you considered my feelings? He owes me, and I'm just punishing him. You don't need to feel bad. The one who should feel bad is him. But Milo didn't look like he felt bad at all. He was at home, completely at ease. Holden, do you know how much I suffered because of him in the past? I just want to vent. Do you want me to swallow my anger? I can't do that. Milo didn't say anything. He just pulled out my razor and aftershave and started shaving in front of the mirror. I didn't know what I did wrong, but in this absurd scene, I was the only one getting hurt. Do you really have to do this? Even if I oppose it, you'll continue. I stared straight into Gemma's eyes, but her gaze remained fixed on Milo. I just want to play him until I feel better. Once I feel better, I can let go of this and marry you. No need for that. I turned and left the house. My teammates decided to celebrate my release from the hospital by inviting me out for a few drinks at the bar. I say, you're really foolish. Your girlfriend is living with her ex-boyfriend in the house you rented, while you're sleeping on the floor at my place. What kind of life is this? Yeah, I'm living a life worse than a dog. Not long after, Gemma Carlson arrived with Milo Lawrence, and everyone was secretly watching me in silence. When I stepped outside for a smoke, I happened to run into Milo on the phone. Please don't contact my family, I beg you. I'll be going to the national competition soon, and the prize money is quite substantial. I'll pay you back in no time. Don't worry, even if I have to sell my wife, I'll return your money. Just as Milo hung up and walked in, I confronted him with a punch. How dare you touch a single hair on Gemma? Milo got up from the ground and landed a punch on my jaw, making my head buzz again. Humph, if I don't touch her, she'll come to me herself. Do you really think she hates me? You're wrong. She loves me. So much so that she only cares about sleeping with me while you're in the hospital. After saying that, Milo threw another punch at my nose. You bastard! I swung my fist at his stomach, but he didn't retaliate. Holden Davies, what are you doing? A sharp female voice rang out from behind. Before I could react, I had already received a slap from Gemma Carlson. Behind her were a group of teammates who came to watch the commotion. I knew you had bad intentions following Milo. Why are you hitting him? If you keep causing trouble like this, we'll break up. Milo let out a cry, and Gemma immediately stood by his side, checking the injuries on his face. But she forgot. I was the one who had been pushed off the cliff. I was the one who had just been released from the hospital. I sighed softly. As you wish, let's break up. The stalemate between the three of us was broken by a scream from the next table. I turned my head and saw a familiar pretty girl, wearing a denim skirt and a cap from our racing team, walking towards us. I was momentarily stunned, and before I could react, the girl had hooked her arm around my neck, and the sweet scent of bluebell wafted over. Her friend shouted, "Kiss him." I sensed trouble and hurriedly advised, "Don't mess around." The girl boldly wrapped her arms around my neck and proudly kissed me. I've completed my big adventure. Are you all satisfied now? Her female companion giggled and dispersed. Meanwhile, my teammates were dumbfounded. Those naive guys who had never seen the world were fixated on her exquisite face. Then she smiled at me. Holden, luckily you're here. Otherwise, I wouldn't know which lucky guy got to benefit. I stood there in a daze. How did you come back? Summer Grant and I came from families that had known each other for generations. She had been my little shadow since childhood. Later, she went abroad for school, and I got kicked out by my dad, so we lost contact. I never expected that after so many years, she would still be so fiery. I wondered how much of our earlier argument she had overheard. Otherwise, it would be too embarrassing. Gemma Carlson looked a bit angry and questioned me. Holden, how can you kiss another girl in front of me? Summer immediately retorted, Hey, I just heard you two broke up. A kiss shouldn't be a big deal, right? Indeed. She had come over to see my embarrassment because she overheard our argument. Milo was taken aback by Summer's looks and figure. One teammate noticed Summer wearing a cap from our racing team and whispered, "Hey, she seems like a fan of our team?" Another teammate recalled something and quietly told everyone, "I think I've seen her in a photo with our boss on his table. She should be the boss's daughter." What? Everyone was stunned. The boss's daughter? Everyone suddenly understood that this girl in front of us was the boss's daughter. Milo immediately extended his hand to shake hands with Summer. "Hello, I'm Milo Lawrence, the new racer for the team this year. I'll be representing the team at the national competition." Summer ignored him and simply wrapped her arms around my neck. "Holden, I'm going to make my dad hand over the racing team to me, so now I'm your boss." I felt a bit helpless. Even after so many years, she was still as clingy as before. "Summer Grant, let go, you're being inappropriate." Summer pouted playfully. "I'm already 20 this year. I'm not a child anymore." I finally took a good look at her. Indeed, she had grown into a beautiful young woman. Upon hearing that she was the new boss of the racing team, my teammates scrambled to shake hands with Summer, trying to impress her. Only Gemma stood outside the crowd, looking displeased. After the bar fiasco ended, I returned home, quickly packed my things, threw away that bottle of aftershave, and tossed the razor, moving out overnight. I sent Gemma a message, informing her that I had moved out and shared the landlord's contact information for her to pay the rent herself in the future. Then I deleted her contact information. I heard that Summer Grant had become the boss of the racing team, so I planned to withdraw from the team. Otherwise, she would play me to death just like crushing an ant. I called my dad and told him I was done with racing. On the other end of the line, Dad was overjoyed. If I had known that girl was so capable, I should have brought her back sooner. "You're not losing out either. I'll have the driver deliver the keys to the apartment I bought for you. Just settle in and come back to work for me seriously." Old Ginger is still hot. I couldn't win against him. In utter helplessness, I never expected my girlfriend, who once relentlessly pursued me, would turn into my boss, finally forcing me to give up racing and return home to inherit my dad's business. My dad had become a sponsor for the national rally race for my sake. But now that he heard I was quitting, he lost all interest in the matter and sent me to wrap things up myself. On the day of the opening ceremony, Dad had to go on a business trip, and he called the driver away. In the end, I had to drive the Cullinan to the opening ceremony myself. Due to my unfamiliarity with the business, I hadn't communicated well with the event staff beforehand, and I awkwardly circled the parking lot several times before finding a parking spot. Just as I got out of the car, someone called my name from behind. "Holden Davies, what a coincidence. What brings you here today?" The speaker was Milo Lawrence. When I turned around, I found Gemma Carlson standing next to him. Milo couldn't help but laugh when he saw me in formal attire driving a luxury car. "What's up? Have you found a new job after just a few days? Didn't you quit racing to become a driver?" I frowned slightly and said, "The family driver happened to have something come up, so I'm driving myself." Milo burst out laughing. "A family driver? If someone didn't know better, they'd think you were from some wealthy family." I couldn't be bothered to respond to him, but Gemma complained a bit. "How can someone who can't even pay rent talk so nonsense after just walking away? Even if you're not racing anymore, you should at least find a decent job. Don't shame our team." I didn't expect those words to come from Gemma. I scoffed and said, "What's wrong with being a driver? Earning money through hard work to support myself and my family, and helping my family achieve their dreams. Such a driver deserves respect." As I spoke, I nodded toward Gemma's father, who had come to cheer for his daughter. "Mr. Carlson is here too," I greeted. When Gemma turned to see her father, she realized she had misspoken, and her face turned pale, because her father was a taxi driver. Mr. Carlson not only worked tirelessly to support his family, but was also a person full of emotional value. Back when Gemma insisted on joining the racing team, Mr. Carlson not only didn't stop her, but even wrote a thick book based on his decades of experience as a driver. He knew better than anyone what to pay attention to in different weather and road conditions. Gemma's success today was also thanks to Mr. Carlson's efforts. Mr. Carlson knew how much Gemma had fought for Milo back then, and now seeing them together again, his smile faded. Mr. Davies? What are you doing here? Didn't you receive our message? There's a VIP parking area in the north. The staff is waiting for you there. A staff member from the event saw me and immediately greeted me warmly. Gemma and Milo were left dumbfounded. Mr. Davies? Gemma muttered. The staff member looked at them in surprise and said, Aren't you two Mr. Davies's colleagues? I thought you were Mr. Davies's driver and secretary. My apologies. Milo, upon hearing that he was mistaken for a driver, wanted to argue, but Gemma, who didn't want to cause trouble, pulled him back. Mr. Davies, let's go this way. The ceremony is about to start. I politely nodded in response and walked straight inside. Behind me, I heard Milo cursing. Seriously thinks he's the boss. He's just the driver doing the boss's bidding. As I walked backstage, I saw Summer Grant coming toward me immediately. Holden, you still have this dashing side to you. I smiled and said, What can I do? My face isn't important. I can't let my dad lose face. Summer said, You know, you actually look pretty handsome. I knew she was teasing me, but still, I couldn't help but feel flattered. Summer smiled sweetly and said, I received your application to leave the team. After this race, you can go, but before that, you need to cooperate with me well. I chuckled wryly. Do whatever you want. This race has nothing to do with me. Summer replied. Then I'll take that as you agreeing to me. Looking at her mischievous smile, I felt like there was a trap waiting for me to jump into. As I passed by the team's promotional area, I noticed that the team's promotional posters were all of Summer's own posters. I pointed at the poster, feeling both amused and exasperated. While other teams showcased their drivers, this guy had put up his own selfie. Just then, Summer Grant walked over, and I couldn't help but tease her a bit. Summer Grant, don't you think your narcissism has its limits? She looked puzzled and replied, What's wrong? Is there a problem with me putting myself up there? Or is the photo not good enough? I just shook my head, thinking it was whatever, although I was a bit worried that this clueless rich kid might ruin the team. Milo Lawrence and Gemma Carlson also noticed that the poster didn't feature them, and their faces turned dark. Gemma took a picture of the poster and shared it in the team group chat. Did they give us the wrong materials? How careless. Summer replied instantly, Nope, I picked it on purpose. When I saw this exchange backstage, I really wanted to see Gemma's expression in person. At the opening ceremony, the organizers invited the sponsors to speak on stage, and I reluctantly went up to say a few words. Hello, everyone. I'm the representative of the Davies Group, the sponsor of this competition. I thought I'd be up here because of winning an award, but unfortunately my driving skills aren't up to par, so here I am in a different way. I hope you all enjoy the race. Laughter erupted from the audience. Isn't that the mysterious heir from the Davies family who's never shown his face? He's so interesting, and he's really good looking. I heard he also races privately. That's so cool. They whispered among themselves. Gemma looked anxious, lost in her thoughts. As I stepped down from the stage, Summer came up beside me and whispered, I didn't expect you to be so much more interesting when you speak. I shot her a glare and said, So you think I'm boring in real life? The most boring is when you scold me with a straight face. Seeing her silly grin, I couldn't help but shake my head in defeat. Just then, Gemma approached, looking worried as she said, Holden, can I talk to you for a moment? Summer immediately stepped in front of me, her guard up. What do you want? Gemma said, I just want to say a few words to him. It won't take long. Summer was about to refuse, but I patted her shoulder and said, It's fine. You can go ahead and do your thing. After Summer left, Gemma looked at me with slightly red eyes and said, Holden, you really didn't have to delete me. That day, I was just speaking out of anger. I didn't mean to break up with you. I frowned slightly and replied, But I wasn't angry. I was serious. Gemma hurriedly explained, Why? You know how wronged I felt before. You've said you hoped I could let go and be at ease with you, so do you want me to be trapped in that relationship forever? I stared coldly at her and said, the only one trapping you is yourself. It's you who can't forget him and can't let him go, which is why you keep him around. What were you doing that night in the hospital? Training? Then why isn't there any record of it in the team's training logs? You want to say you were just punishing him? Gemma, do you think he's the one getting hurt? No, it's me, only me. A look of surprise crossed Gemma's face, then her cheeks flushed with shame. She didn't know what to say and blurted out, I'm sorry. It's my fault. We don't need to stay in touch anymore because I don't love you anymore. Gemma wanted to say something, but in the end, she just covered her mouth and started to cry. The organizers handed over the race schedule and team information, and I then realized that the team members competing weren't Milo and Gemma after all. Milo and Gemma were also making a scene with the staff, who explained that the final participant lineup was decided by the team. I took a closer look at the list and was shocked to see that Summer had signed herself up. I couldn't help but laugh and then glanced at the navigator's name, even more surprised to find it was me. Milo exploded on the spot, scolding the young team owner for being reckless. Summer, however, looked serious. Do you really not know why I replaced you? People need their dignity. Losing a race is fine, but we can't lose the team's reputation. Do you understand? What Summer said left me confused, but Milo seemed caught off guard, hesitating to speak. Gemma, however, was dissatisfied. In the past, the team always selected the best performing pair to compete. Just changing it like this is bound to cause discontent, right? Summer suggested, how about a bet? If we win a medal, then I call the shots for the team from now on. If we don't win a medal, I'll leave. You leave too, Summer said, looking at me. I was stunned. To be fair, our team really didn't have the capability to win a medal. Just participating in this competition was a historic breakthrough. But Summer was casually making a bet. I didn't mind leaving. I had originally planned to. But if Summer just took over the team and then messed it up, how would she explain it to her dad? I murmured, Summer Grant, what are you doing? Summer reassured me, it's okay. I believe in your skills and my driving isn't bad either. We'll be fine. Believing in my skills, I sighed helplessly. Gemma Carlson let out a cold laugh and walked away. Milo Lawrence looked at the two of us, his face filled with anger and helplessness. I couldn't be bothered with them and turned to walk towards the lounge. After the driver communication meeting, Summer Grant tossed a thick road book in front of me, telling me not to embarrass her. In fact, I had never been a navigator, but I had memorized this road book inside out. To help Gemma Carlson become an excellent navigator, I had prepared road books for her, analyzing various road conditions and emergency situations together. I was initially worried about Summer Grant's driving skills, but once we set off, I realized that her skills were anything but shabby. No, not shabby at all. They were quite proficient. After a series of maneuvers, I was left speechless from the passenger seat. Hey, navigator, focus. Her words were filled with pride, and I snapped back to reality, starting to navigate for her. After the first stage, our performance was quite good. I asked Summer Grant what was going on, but she refused to elaborate, only saying it was a secret. In the following stages, we worked well together, encouraging each other. This is the final straight. We have a slight lead, but don't let up. 300 meters ahead. Watch out for possible leftover rubber debris on the road. Maintain a straight acceleration and don't let the tires skid. Focus, this is the final push. 50 meters. Steady on the gas. Great job. 3, 2, 1. Cross the finish line. After finishing the last stage, my legs were shaking as I got out of the car. Looking at the leaderboard, our team had risen to third place. I couldn't believe we actually did it. Reporters gathered around, mostly crowding around Summer Grant. This is the first time we've seen a female driver win a medal. How did you get into racing? Summer found me in the crowd and smiled. I've liked a guy for many years, but he was into racing, and I couldn't understand what was so great about it. Was it really better than me? I never expected racing to be this fun. Back then, I was alone abroad, studying and practicing driving, often hungry and tired. It was quite tough. I was momentarily stunned by her words. She had always followed me around as a child, saying she liked me, and it wasn't just a joke. I had always viewed her as just a kid. I never realized I had influenced her so much. At that moment, I heard her quietly complain, "But I'm glad I persevered." I felt a pang of guilt. I had somehow become the source of motivation for someone else's efforts. Seeing me squeezed out by reporters, Summer Grant pulled me back beside her. A reporter asked me, "Before the race, did you say you couldn't stand on the podium out of modesty?" I felt a bit awkward. I really did benefit from Summer's skills. I didn't expect her to be this amazing. Summer wrapped her arm around my shoulder. "Stop being modest, my partner. Without you, we wouldn't have even picked up a scrap of a medal." I suddenly felt a bit moved. When I partnered with Gemma Carlson, she never thanked me. She only complained about me holding her back. But working with Summer Grant felt exhilarating. She would always compliment me at the right moments, filling me with confidence. Back at the team's rest area, the team members went wild with joy, rushing over to hug me and Summer Grant. However, Summer hid behind me, saying, "Don't hug me. My boyfriend might mind." My heart skipped a beat. "You have a boyfriend now, then why would you kiss me?" She looked at me and smiled. "I think I should have one soon, depending on when you agree to me." Her sudden boldness threw me off. I had felt a spark before. It was just that I thought Summer was several years younger than me, just a budding girl who hadn't seen much of the world. I figured she'd forget about her feelings for me in a few days. I never expected her to be serious. I looked at Summer Grant. She was looking back at me, her eyes full of expectation. I couldn't help but kiss her forehead. The fearless girl finally blushed. I thought, I might really be falling for this girl. Her innocence, determination, and bravery made her irresistible. Because he lost a bet, Gemma Carlson stubbornly insisted on leaving the team. Milo Lawrence, however, appeared indifferent, showing no intention of leaving the team. "Ms. Grant, don't worry. I will definitely train hard and achieve more results," he smoothly promised Summer Grant. "But our team no longer needs you." Milo didn't expect Summer Grant to directly fire him. "Look, I have good looks, and my skills are decent. Why fire me?" Milo was a bit disgruntled. Summer slapped a urine test report on the table. Upon seeing the report, Milo panicked and begged for Summer Grant's forgiveness. "Ms. Grant, please give me another chance. I was just confused for a moment. I want to bring a medal to the team." Milo had always thought he wouldn't get caught, so he was quite bold. But Summer, as the team owner, had hired a professional testing agency to check for performance-enhancing drugs during the internal selection race, adhering to her responsibility to the competition. I recalled how Milo had pushed me off the cliff, and it all clicked. Seeing that Summer Grant showed no signs of mercy, Milo suddenly knelt down on the ground. "Ms. Grant, you can't kick me out, and you can't let this get out, or how will I survive in this circle in the future?" Gemma Carlson looked at Milo Lawrence with a face full of annoyance. "Milo, what are you doing?" Milo just continued to plead with Summer Grant. "Since you dare to do this, you must bear the consequences." Summer Grant said coldly, No, I can't bear this. You can't ruin a driver's career like this. Your career is ruined by your own doing." Couldn't help but say, "Milo, how could you do such a thing?" Gemma Carlson finally understood everything and looked down on Milo even more. She cursed him fiercely and turned to leave. Milo had a long face as he was eventually escorted out by the security. I couldn't help but give Summer Grant a thumbs up. This quirky little girl always brings me surprises. After the national competition, I didn't stay with the racing team any longer. Dad was right. I really have more talent in business than in driving. After a few years of hard lessons, I finally accepted reality. Summer was busy with team matters, and the little buddies in the team admired this powerful boss. We usually went about our own business, but during our breaks, we occasionally practiced driving skills together. This became our unique dating method. Not long after we got married, Summer started to love sleeping and became picky about food. Looking at the records on my phone, I asked her if she hadn't gotten her period this month. Only then did she hurriedly run into the bathroom, and after a while, she came out with a long face. Not pregnant, I asked. Pregnant? Then why the long face? I picked her up and placed her on my lap. Hubby, will I still be your baby in the future? Of course, you're the big baby, and she's the little baby. I kissed Summer and then kissed her belly. This silly girl was actually afraid that once she had a child, no one would treat her like a baby anymore. Then I want to eat fruit preserves, carrot juice, and braised pig's trotters now. Turns out she was waiting for me. I gently placed her on the sofa, put on my jacket, and went out to the supermarket. In the supermarket, I couldn't help but grab anything related to children. Thinking about becoming a dad made me want to tell every passerby, but suddenly, a woman appeared out of nowhere and pressed me against the shelf without saying a word. She rubbed my chest with one hand and leaned in to kiss me. I was so scared that I pushed her away. Don't touch me. Only then did I see that this impulsive woman was actually Gemma Carlson. Holden Davies, don't you like women who are proactive and enthusiastic towards you? If you like to be proactive, I can be proactive towards you too. With that, Gemma reached into my pants pocket, shocking me so much that I pushed her away again. Are you sick? I shouted at her. Yes, I'm sick. I was sick for missing you, but now I regret it. Gemma cried as she spoke. I have a wife now, and my wife won't like me being ambiguous with others. I said coldly. I know you're upset about Milo. I've already let it go. I won't have any more contact with him. Can we be together? I'll be at ease with you. I shook my head indifferently. You clearly love me so much, always supporting me and helping me out of my low point. Are you still angry with me? It turned out she understood how much I had sacrificed for her. I looked at the shelves behind Gemma, reached over her shoulder, and tossed a pack of diapers into the shopping cart. Angry? No time. Gemma grabbed my hand and tried to lean into my embrace, but I quickly pushed her away. Don't follow me, and don't undervalue yourself. I turned and left, not looking at Gemma again. Suddenly, Gemma broke down, sitting on the floor and crying her heart out. My heart didn't waver much. I just hoped to get home sooner. That person at home was probably watching some mindless variety show, likely laughing foolishly while dozing off. Thinking of Summer, picturing her lovely face, I couldn't help but smile. I had already found my peace and happiness, and I would protect it well. Years later, I was holding Summer's shoulders with one arm while pushing the baby stroller with the other as we strolled through the streets. In a shop on the street, the news was playing on the TV. Three-time champion driver Summer Grant returns home, officially ending her racing career. I leaned down and kissed Summer's forehead, asking, "Are you disappointed? I've won enough awards, and the days of competing were filled with separation. Now I just want to be with you and the little one." Summer smiled as she said this. As we passed a large supermarket, a truck delivering fresh vegetables and fruits stopped at the back door. A driver was unloading baskets of vegetables and fruits from the truck. A middle-aged woman nearby, dressed in clothes that were hard to identify, urged him to be quicker. The man, distracted by the news report, stopped what he was doing and stared blankly. The woman kicked him and scolded, "What are you looking at? If you hadn't taken banned drugs and owed so much money, would you have ended up like this?" The man, furious, threw a basket of vegetables at the woman. "And what about you? How are you any better?" The two immediately got into a scuffle. Summer leaned over to ask me what was going on. I shook my head and quickly pushed the stroller away. The little baby frowned at the noise. Summer patted his head, and he immediately broke into a sweet smile. "You think, when he grows up, will he take after you or me?" I tightened my grip around her shoulders. "I guess he'll be as beautiful, brave, and sincere as his mother."